morning, everyone. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yay.
All right. So you may be wondering what all that, as someone said, meeting sorcery was. So, yeah, internally we got this green room enabled, and I turned that on, and we were just trying to see what that experience was like. So I guess for most of you, that's your first, well, all of our first time experiencing the green room. Yeah. So that was cool. And so again, this is still it's internal right now, but just for your edification, on my side, I had a yellow start meeting button in addition to the red leave button. And so even whether you were in the lobby or eventually I admitted you all from the lobby, but that put you in the green room, and then nothing really got going until I hit that yellow start meeting button. So Stacy and I were chatting back and forth, and apparently you all were able to chat. I don't know if anybody tried to come off mute or anything, but I think it worked the way a green room, should work. You all had a space while you waited without having to just stare at, I guess you stared at a starting Zoom screen, but you were able to communicate with each other. So that's kind of cool. So something to look forward to there. I don't know if we know the roadmap or date on that one. But yeah,
Melanie, I don't know. I'm assuming we will get it. It's the timing that I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But how awesome. That was neat.
Cool.
So we also couldn't, sorry, just pipe in there really quick. We also could not click on the people button to see others that were in the meeting. The only thing that of those, I could do the chat, but I didn't have my people button enabled.
Okay, so you didn't know who was in the green room with you, but you were able to talk to people in the room.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, we were in the green room, right, Ricardo?
Oh, right.
And they were in the meeting, just they could not see our green room experience, which we would want as presenters, because then we can be kind of locked away, staging things, right? Yep. And the meeting participants are governed on what they can see. At least that's what I think of when I think of green room. I'm thinking of the swanky thing behind the stage,
right?
Where they park the talent, until they come out and get on stage. So I think it was us that was in the green room, and they were in the meeting just in a full meeting experience without having to sit in the lobby alone.
And Amanda,
we were
you're
at the
saying,
green room.
Right. And Amanda, you're saying you do that currently with the lobby feature, and I think by that you mean just this ability for presenters to talk before people come in. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because the lobby isn't letting anybody chat or do anything other than wait.
Yeah, so I will like the ability to be able to chat with those people. So that will be really nice, because that's not available. But yeah, we have the lobby turned on, and we will do our last final touches on any presentation or, talk about everything. So it is like our, essentially our green room. And we've been promoting that feature. So it'll be nice when we actually have a green room.
Yeah. And then what I don't know also is what kind of customizations are available. Could I have had you look at something else? I do know I saw something written that said I could have allowed you to interact with like a poll while you wait or something. So there is some ability to do things, or to have the organizer do some things in that meeting, in that space while we're in the green room. So that'll be interesting.
I think I read somewhere that you'll have the ability to have something set up in the waiting room. However, we just don't know if that's going to be tenant specific.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's tenant specific, that, kind of defeats the purpose. I would like to see it be something we set up, for each individual meeting, so that I could, put in a, I don't know,
agency
a picture.
Stuff.
Well, agency specific and even meeting specific. I'd like to just be able to put up a picture that's specific to that meeting and say, yeah, we'll be beginning soon or whatever. This is the meeting. You're right. You're in the right place.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah. That is interesting. And then the last thing I'm thinking about too, I know we announced, was it Teams Premium, or maybe that was Teams Room Premium, but my brain makes me think that there could perhaps be, additional green room functionality really in the premium SKU. That seems to be that would make sense to me in my mind. So that's interesting. So Stacey and I were kind of giggling as we watched that unfold. And it was new for us as well. So, But all that being said, welcome everybody to another cute Team for Teams Champions Using Teams Effectively with Ricardo and Stacey joining us once again.
Back together.
Yeah. And we're happy to see all of you. I think I see a couple new names in the list. So if this is your first time joining, you've joined, I believe, episode number 80. Woo. And if you're wondering what you've joined, essentially, call it office hours, ask us anything, place where you can come with questions, and we try our best to help answer those questions, but also as a group, really, to talk about best practices and roadmap features and how do we use this whole Teams thing. So you're in good company, and happy to have you. So with that, yeah. With that said, feel free to come off mute or use the chat. If you did come with a specific question, which I think I may see some rolling in there, but the floor is open. We can certainly, Stacey and I can certainly talk about things if needed, but the floor is open for any particular question.
Yes. So this is Christy.
Yeah.
And the question that I'm coming with is, let me see how I could put this. I was at an agency, a municipal agency, where I was an early adapter of Teams. So we were able to control teams and channels. And now I am with a new organization that's a state agency, and I'm seeing that people have like 50 different teams, not channels, right? But they're all related. And I was wondering if there was a way that we can consolidate some of these teams and keep the information, and then turn some of the other teams into channels so people aren't walking around with 50 different teams most of which are associated.
And that's an interesting question, because I literally have a meeting set up for next week, I think. Similar question for a couple of my teams where we're asking about consolidating. It's not 50, but a similar question. And I guess I'll start with some of my initial thoughts. First I'll say I'm not aware of an easy button for that, right? To just say, hey, check the box on these 49, add them to this one, magically or something like that. What I have seen happen in the past is usually two things you're trying to aggregate. It's the files and the chat. And the files are a little easier because that's just SharePoint libraries, and not easy in the sense that there's not a lot of steps, but easy in that it can be done. Because I can take each of those libraries and move those files, into the one library of the one team we're trying to aggregate into. Manual steps for sure, but at the end of that effort, I can have all of those files in the one place. Then the next part is all the chats for those different teams. Not aware of an easy button, and I've seen that request plenty of times. Not aware of any easy button to move chat over. And in some ways, I kind of get it just when I think about the back end of how chat works and exchange in the background and all this kind of thing. I kind of get it. What I would say there, like in your scenario, 50 sites needing to be aggregated, it's not the prettiest, but archiving the 49 of them. So we're not deleting and we're not moving, but we are archiving them. They're essentially now read-only. And hopefully all your team members hide those 49. And so what that at least gives you is they're accessible. I can find the info through chat, through search, but they're really no longer active, and we're now using that one. So no, I haven't moved the chat into the new team, but at least I haven't lost the chat. And then any really key channels from those teams, I would recreate. I would even maybe put pointers over to old chat messages that are key or things like that. But that's what I have seen in the past. And I know I see some hands up. Maybe there's some other suggestions, but that's what I've seen. Kind of point in time. Let's cut these off and hit the archive button on them, hide them, move forward with the one, and just use those others for reference. So certainly a manual process, but that's what I've seen. Eric, did you have a thought on that one, or did you have a different question?
Yeah. Hi. Eric Young here. First time joining. Thanks for having me. Yeah. I wanted to provide some overview on the experience you have in site sprawl or team sprawl, and that is early adopters of Teams did not have the ability to do private channels or shared channels. So when they wanted to centric their information around specific projects, that's what they were doing. So that's why you've got a lot of teams. One of the bigger things that could help your organization is ensuring that you have some sort of retention policy set to those communications in Teams so they get automatically purged and deleted, right, following your retention policies, because then that would leave you to an endpoint of when those read-only Teams chats it would be empty, and you could delete and clean up those old teams as you migrate the content off. But, overall, Ricardo, I agree with you on SharePoint move files, mark channels to no more posts. So thanks.
Yeah. As you were talking, the other thing it made me think about too, there is a third piece, which could be more complicated, which is all the tabs or apps that potentially could be used in those 49. I'm almost hoping you don't have that problem with your 50 apps, because then it feels like a case-by-case basis how you might move some of those. Hopefully some of those tabs are just tabs to some Office 365 service where, hey, I can just make a new tab for it. Again, more manual process, but if it's some app or something that's very specific to the team it's in, I could see that getting complicated. So yeah, there's probably three big buckets: chat, files, and tab/apps that need to be considered in that scenario.
So I threw it into the chat, but I'm going to say it out loud too, because I think it's important for the recording. Team ownership. I think from an adoption standpoint, it's really important to make sure that those folks who are requesting new teams be created understand that as a team owner, there's some management and some oversight duties that they really need to embrace and be aware of, and understand teams that may be a slightly higher level than the average user. And we can certainly help you figure out what those key management pieces are, and how to advise those team owners to really own their team, not just be a casual participant or a casual requester of a new team. So there's just some adoption processes and adoption approaches that are going to help keep team ownership as an active role rather than a passive one.
I do also see in the chat the suggestion about checking in the admin center to see of those 50 sites which are really even active and maybe even worth bringing over. It could be nothing's in there or something like that. So I agree with that. That'll give you some insight. And there certainly can be stale sites out there, especially in that scenario if people are just willy-nilly creating the sites. I did want to also say, I'm on the fence on this concept that, we're talking about setting up policies to keep people from creating sites. And I'm one of those that likes to empower the users to create sites willy-nilly. So hang with me for a second there. I do like the idea of making sure those empowered people understand what it means to create a team site, understand, the concept of sprawl. Hey, we are trying to manage sprawl, so think about that before you create. And then even better, on the back end, as I think Eric mentioned, policies for retention. So maybe I am creating willy-nilly sites, but in 6 months, the system's going to tell me, hey, you still need this site, otherwise I'm going to delete it, kind of thing. So now if I'm sprawling all over the place, the system can corral some of that in with those kind of retention policies. But the reason I like that is just, and I think I've used this in previous sessions, going back to just all those scenarios where I and 3 people or I and a team need a quick way to collaborate on something in the moment, right? My classic example was going to a conference back when we used to do those things, and you sit at table number 5 and the speaker speaks, and then he says, okay, now let's go ahead and talk, as a table, work on this thing I just told you about. As a table, we create a table number 5 team, and we do our stuff that gives us documents and chat and all of this thing. Well, it doesn't really even need it after 2 days. I mean, this is a real example I'm giving from real experience. After that event's over, we don't even need that, and I forgot all about it. So I added to the sprawl with this site, a site that was needed at the time. But after a few months, the system reminded me about table number 5. I'm going to delete this unless you still need it. Of course, I didn't. Yes, to let it delete. All as well. So I got some power in that moment at table number 5 by my ability to willy-nilly create a site. But we also contained the sprawl by the system being aware and and checking in with me and that kind of thing. That's the world I'd love to live in. I know in the real world it is a little messier than that, but that's my take on that, and that's why I'm on the fence many times in terms of full lockdown on team creation. So I don't know if anybody else has got a passionate thought on that, but that's mine. So just checking the chat here. Yeah, and I see, willy-nilly was terrible for you because remember 5 teams that were basically the same. I get it. Yep. But yeah, governance is always key for sure, and using automation to help enforce. That's a strong word, but help enforce that governance.
Then you do have the experiences where instead of creating a chat, a team is created for 3 or 4 people to have a 1, maybe 2 time discussion, and we have a team that lasts forever.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because in my mind, that's probably not the case, but I didn't want the chat. I made the team so that we could have tabs or some additional apps or something like that. But yeah, in the perfect world, after that little thing is done, I would clean up my mess and delete that team or something like that.
Yeah.
But I could see somebody making a choice for a team over a chat because of maybe some additional functionality. Because yeah, so I'm thinking, I mean, yeah, we can create new chat groups willy-nilly, but that's not nearly as impactful as new teams. So
There's a comment at 11:22. I'd like to learn more about, please, the feature.
The expiring team feature requires a P1 license for all members, not something we want to pay to play. I think you're talking Azure AD Premium. Is that?
Yeah. You got to have a P1 license for all members that are in the teams that are expiring, and that's everybody in your organization. So at $5 a month, it's very, very expensive.
Yeah, I don't know if you, Stacy, can find a link for group expiration, because that would explain that. But yes, Azure AD, the premium SKUs do add a lot more functionality for managing, user-based things throughout the org. So yes, there's a cost. I would say there's a high value in that cost, but yes, without that investment, yes, that whole automated group expiration that I described, that world, it doesn't come with the standard setup. I see a question about a guide on using O365 groups versus teams. And that's a interesting one for me too, because not interested in what you guys think, but to me, so Teams is an Office 365 group with a Teams layer on top. So I'm trying to think of what scenarios where, since Teams already gives me a group, what scenario would I want a group only without the Teams part on it? And the one scenario I usually think about is, well, my users have been used to groups so long, and I'm just trying to give them what they have been used to. But my suggestion would be to kind of move past the groups concept and stick with teams, because you're getting all the group stuff plus the teams, which hopefully that group of people will eventually evolve into. Because the groups will give you an email distribution list, not true chat. So you'll be talking in email. You'll be committing to the email concept with the group. You will get the files, but you don't get chat. So that's where I would kind of vote for going with the team to get teams plus the group stuff. And if you have a group without teams, you don't need the group. If you have a group without teams, you don't. I don't know. That one's confusing me. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense, though, that yes, the O365 group is what I call like the transmission under the hood of a Teams car. It is what's powering it. It is what sometimes bites you. I know I've been in conversations with Amanda and her team about like Planner and its connection with groups and how that was hard to manage. So sometimes it bites you, but in general, it's a good transmission for a great car. But that's good to know. And so yes, those group artifacts are essentially found within Outlook, and we've done that in this group in the past, kind of shown that. But I'll show it again. You all got to remind me when I'm talking about stuff that I'm sitting here looking at a demo environment and I could be showing you. But I can go for this team. This is the way I get to the group stuff. You might go straight to Outlook. I like to go this way. Conversations, you would think that's Teams chat. It's not. It's the email distribution list for the group. And then that puts me here in the group for that finance team, where I now can see files, the calendar, the email lists or distribution lists, things like that. That's how I get there. Glenn, I think you got your hands up there. Right, maybe not.
He does. I don't know. He's been really patient, because I think he had a question about PowerPoint Live for a while. Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah.
Hopefully he can. Oh, no, I still see him in the lineup. There you are.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, we have two current situations in which we have large group presentations, large group meetings, and we have like one PowerPoint and multiple operators. And Melody wrote in the chat that they've found that using PowerPoint Live is better when you have multiple operators presenting one PowerPoint instead of each having their own PowerPoint. But when we've done that, we lose the audio. If there is embedded audio in the PowerPoint, no one can hear it. And if there is a link in the PowerPoint to launch a video off like YouTube or somewhere on the internet from within the PowerPoint, it'll launch. You can see it on the screen, but you can't hear the audio. And so even, enabling the sound slider button when you click present screen, we still can't get any sound out of PowerPoint Live. So I was just wondering, is that a GCC thing, or is that just something that's happening in our organization? Or what would you suggest for multiple presenters using one PowerPoint, but also trying to do sound.
So Stacy, the last couple weeks, actually, Amanda's brought up what, I don't know if you've been tracking it. There seems to be a GCC issue related to PowerPoint Live and video. And I don't know if that's been addressed yet. That's why I switched over to my commercial tenant here, because I do know I was literally just in a meeting yesterday, PowerPoint Live with, music and all of this interaction, and it was working. So my first gut reaction is that the issue Amanda has been bringing up might be biting you still, in your particular case. Are you saying that your video is playing, but not the sound, or no video either?
Well, I'm not sure on that because I wasn't present when it happened. I know for sure the embedded sound in the PowerPoint did not play, and the sound from the video did not play. I don't know if the screen images from the video played when launched from within the PowerPoint.
Right.
I think it did, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't have a way to even demo sound related stuff with this environment, but yes, I definitely was in a meeting where sound worked. They were doing PowerPoint Live. They were clicking buttons. Sound was, all what you described was occurring. So my gut's telling me got a glitch there, more so than a design.
Because when we did share screen, just simple share screen without the PowerPoint Live, then the audio did work.
Yeah. And so what I can show, because even if I could, we've got a couple minutes left. What I will show, though, is in this case, if you are doing PowerPoint and PowerPoint Live isn't working out for you, want to make sure you know at least about the reading view, because sometimes that helps. So most people, when they are doing a presentation in Teams with PowerPoint, they will either do PowerPoint Live, we know what that looks like, or they'll hit the F5 and they'll go full screen like that, right? And this actually has a video in it, but they'll go full screen. Let me get out of this. The other approach, though, is this little thing down here, right? The reading view takes you into a window view of this, but it's essentially behaving like a full screen. And so then that's really easy to then share. I'll hit share on this window, plus click the audio button and get a very similar experience to what I would get with the PowerPoint Live or a full screen view, but I still then at this point have access to seeing other things on my PC and all that good stuff. So I wanted to just throw that tip out. If this is a glitch we're having and you're waiting on a fix, at least in the meantime, maybe this is something that might be able to help.
Yeah, it looks like a couple of other people in the chat were having the same problem or a similar problem.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's something we'll have to see if we can track and see if that's a GCC specific thing. I know what I did show in a previous Qt session was that in the commercial, the video at least did autoplay, which it didn't in the GCC. So we at least saw that, but I can't test on this, audio related stuff. I got to figure out a way to make this thing use audio some kind of way. But yeah, it sounds like multiple people are saying no computer sound with PowerPoint Live.
For those of you having that experience, have you opened tickets with your support folks? I'm just curious so that I can do some more digging with that knowledge.
Our system administrator has communicated with Microsoft. I don't know if he formally did a ticket. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. As those come in, that kind of helps the back end folks see a pattern and things like that. So.
Yeah, but I'll dig into this and see what I can find about anything that's known as an issue But yeah, we always appreciate the tickets being opened. I know that's a extra step for you guys, but it helps drive home to support and engineering just how many folks are affected and identify the situation.
Well, at least I can see that it's not only our organization. Other people are
Right.
having trouble with it. So it's
Yeah.
possibly a GCC thing.
Awesome. Well, good discussion today. I hope we were helpful. Glad again to see everybody. We'll be back again next Friday, 11 a.m. This we'll put this on the YouTube playlist, as always, aka.ms/cute4teams. You can find all 80 episodes of
Mind
this
blowing.
series.
That's
I know,
awesome.
right? All right. So you guys have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out the blog for more content.